how we will remain leaders in space exploration. I mean, that's a fundamental point. We got to get away from sand chart policy. And that sand chart was the worst thing that ever came along. And, you know, and we've always known it made no sense to come up with one system and drop off and then ramp up to another one. In the meantime, and that brings up the next point on destination, we are using that initial system to finish, finally, a station that we have invested $100 billion in, depending on how you add up the numbers. Our partners have added another $30 billion if you add everything all together. And we finally cut the ribbon on it, and the next day can't get there, except by hitchhiking, as Mike suggested, and by paying $51 million a seat for the Russians to fly us up there, and our partners, because we forget we're obligated to get the Japanese, the Canadians, and the Europeans up there. We signed a deal that said we'd get them there too, not just our astronauts, but theirs too. And so we will have abrogated the responsibility if we don't do that, so we have to do it. We still have to pay for the ability to get 3 crew members down on an emergency basis, so we got to pay for that twice a year as well for 3 seats. So, you know, it's the kind of thing that people are going to say, how did we get to this point? And we've been carping at it for years, and obviously we're ineffective. Because here we are, we have that problem. But now we have an opportunity to resolve it, I believe, at least in part. And we have to take advantage of that. And we have to do it collectively. You know, and people keep saying, you know, that you know, we need to work together, and it's really true. And we proved that it works. You know, we had a $1 billion request for reimbursement to NASA for costs associated with returning the shuttle to flight. And nobody believed we'd get anywhere with that. And we got the industry all together in a room, and we got them to all agree that you know, all boats rise when the tide rises. And everybody's got to forget their individual purpose and come together, and they did, and we got $1 billion, and we passed it in the Senate by unanimous consent. $1 billion add-on plus up to NASA's budget 2 years ago, or a year ago. And we lost it in conference. Why? Because the administration told the House, you got to cut $20 billion, and yeah, go ahead and take that $1 billion out of NASA, because they didn't ask for it in the first place. You know, so, but the point is, we succeeded in getting it to that level. So people talk about there's no new money for NASA. I don't believe that, and I refuse to accept it. That's the OMB Kool-Aid that we've all been drinking for 5 to 8 years, and we got to stop. And someone raised the question in the last session about, look, why don't we start talking about NASA being part of the economic recovery? You know, we need to bail in for NASA. You know, NASA will bail out the country if we let it, because where have you had a government activity that has returned more to the economy than it's spent, other than NASA? And you've seen the numbers, $7 to $9 for every dollar invested. And people talk about those, well, it depends on your assumptions, and they minimize it. Well, I'll take $1 back for every dollar invested, you know, and it's going to be better than anybody else in government. And here we have an opportunity with COTS and programs like this in this new paradigm to do that sort of, to see that kind of return on investment. And that's what we need to show, is not only is it in the obvious case where we're getting matching money, but in a less obvious case where we've created industries and the economic vitality of this country over 50 years has been and had at the core the kind of work that NASA does and spins off into the private sector. I mean, everybody in this room knows that. Why doesn't the American public know that? That's our job. We need to do a better job of making that connection, because it is in the nation's economic interest to invest more in space. And that is provable, demonstrable, and needs to be said over and over again. And if we just say we got to fit within the out-year budgets, we're surrendering the high ground that we really own as a result of NASA's history. The destination issue of 2015 or what for space station is the second point I'll really quickly comment on. I'm sorry, guys, I'm taking all your free time. We were kind of surprised. We thought we'd passed a law that told NASA to go off and plan to use, first of all, we said NASA don't take any step that would preclude the use of space station beyond 2015. for at least 5 years. That's 2020, by the way, 15, 20. I can do that. Then we said, they'll come back to us by July 15th of the next year, is the way it works out in terms of time, and give us a plan of how you would do that, how you would operate and utilize space station to the maximum amount through at least 2020. And then for the first time we get this budget, and for the first time that budget has in it an indication that this has been their plan all along to deorbit the damn thing in 2015. They have never until this year told us that, and they have always told us the opposite. And if I sound upset about that, I am. And it's not acceptable. And I'll tell you, I won't say who it was, but I sat in a meeting recently with a senator, a senior senator, and a couple of nominees for positions at NASA, and so no names here. And the statement was made by the senator that if I have to choose between the moon and the utilization of space station to the maximization, I choose station. And I will tell you that that's an easy sell politically. I can sell that to a lot of members a lot faster than I can sell the moon. Now, we want to go to the moon. We want constellation. Our bill makes that clear. We support that. But if we don't go out and change the paradigm on the financial side, we're going to have to make that choice. There is simply no way humanly possible to fit the moon and utilization of the space station in the same budget that we're looking at right now. And I don't mean space station utilization just for exploration-related research. I mean utilization of the space station for what it was designed and intended to be used for, and that's broad-based research. And that's where the market is, in my view, in the short term for commercial development. That's your market. And for us to even think that we're going to limit that market by 2015 is insanity. And then at the same time ask people like you all to go out and invest and develop systems that would be useful. Just becoming useful and fully proven and adequate at that point in time is insane. So if we don't extend station, then to me that ruins the business case for the commercial plans, and we're undermining our own best alternative to a government-funded program. So those are just some of the few odds and ends I'd like to mention, and I'll just shut up and take questions. Thanks.